I just saw a very cool statistic when it comes to VeChain as of late. I'll talk about the price later, and nothing I say is financial advice, but I'll talk about this real quick because I think this kind of highlights some of the accomplishments that VeChain has done, arguably, and how I think it's pretty cool despite the price, even with a slight recovery, still in the grand scheme of things, not doing the best, but I'll talk about that later. But I'll talk about this because did you know that, again, VeChain recently made a post how in terms of plastic reduction, it's been 416,000 kilograms. And keep in mind, 1 kilogram is approximately 2.2 pounds. So yeah, that's pretty massive right there. Not to mention, they say in terms of energy saved, 9 million watt hours. Again, 9 million watt hours. I mean, when I just take a look at that, I'm like, wow. And also, let's take a look at this, for instance, in terms of water saved, right? We're talking about water here. They say 7 million liters. And keep in mind, 1 gallon is like approximately 3.78 liters, I believe. But yeah, besides that point, that's like pretty massive as well. We take a look at also in terms of waste reduction, 3 million kilograms. And again, 1 kilogram is around 2.2 pounds. But besides that, we take a look at in terms of timber saved, right? They even talk about timber here. So they're talking about wood, basically. Well, timber is a type of wood, but I'm saying we take a look at in terms of timber saved, 687,000 kilograms. And also in terms of carbon reduction, 52 million tons. So, I mean, wow. When I take a look at that, it's not something we really think about, right? Because usually when people take a look at the charts, they like to say, oh, VeChain hasn't really done much. They think it's a meme and all this. But it doesn't really feel like that to me. It feels like it actually has a real world use case because we have to consider the impact they're making in the world. Right? It's not just for fun. It's not just for cool factor or, just a cool vibe overall. It's actually doing something in real life. So I do like seeing that when it comes to VeChain. However, keep in mind, VeChain, it's a project that's primarily focused on something called supply chain management. So if I take a look at statistics like this, I think it kind of sometimes validates their focus, in my opinion. And the thing is this, if the project is actually improving, and it's actually showcasing real-world utility, in my opinion. Yet the charts are going down, even though, again, there's been a slight recovery, but I'm saying still it's down by quite a lot. But even despite that, if something that I actually like, if something that I'm a fan of, and I feel like it's improving fundamentally, yet the charts are going lower, I'll be very happy in terms of dollar cost averaging. I'm not telling anyone to do anything here, right? This is just my mindset, but if something that I liked anyways, I feel like is better, yet the charts are lower, I'll be happy. It's like if I went inside a store, am I going to ever complain about a discount? The answer is no, if I actually like the item. But it has nothing to do with this, but I'm just saying. However, also on top of that as well, VET actually at 30 cents, we're taking a look at a market cap at that point. Considering current circulating supply of around 26 billion, that's not a groundbreaking figure, right? That's just like around 60 billion less than Dogecoin's all-time high market cap that it achieved even back in 2021 at one point. But besides that point, I take a look at something like VeChain also. People like to tell me, oh, no one really cares about the VeChain Thor blockchain. Well, it's had zero network outages for years at this point, right? For many, many years, supposedly ever since 2018, right? Ever since 2018, keep in mind. Back in 2018, I didn't even know what VeChain was. That's the thing. And it's already been operating basically without, I guess any hindrances, right? Any, downtime when it comes to the VeChain Thor blockchain ever since 2018, allegedly. That's really impressive. Not to mention, when I take a look at VeChain as well, the UFC partnership I think is really awesome. I also think the Power Slap thing that they're doing, when we take a look at what VeChain is doing overall, they're doing things in real life, in terms of advertising. They're also doing things in terms of the impact they're making. I feel like it's pretty impressive to me. And also in terms of reliability, because that's often a point of contention, right? People like to say, oh, this project's cool, but it's not really that reliable. But I do see that arguably through the VeChain Thor blockchain. But even besides that, when it comes to VeChain, I just want to explain real quick that VET, of course, is a primary native token. However, there's something else called VeTho. And VeTho, it's basically kind of like the gas token, so to speak. But besides that, I just wanted to mention that real quick. But here's the thing. Overall, I still like VeChain. I haven't given up. I'm still dollar cost averaging once a month. What do I have to complain about? This is the way to take a look at it. I'm just waiting as of right now. But if the only thing I have to do is wait, I feel like that's not even the difficult part for me anyways. I feel like the hard part for me was discovering the project, not waiting. So if I have to wait, I'll wait. I'll never be able to know when there's exactly going to be a hypothetical altcoin season. But you know what? I'll be waiting. That's my mindset. I'm not telling anyone to do anything here, but I like to stick with the projects that I actually like fundamentally, the ones I actually feel have an actual sort of, presence. I don't want to give up when it comes to that. But this is just my mindset, not telling anyone to do anything, but I'm still a fan of VeChain, and I thought that right there that I saw was a very interesting statistic, and I think it kind of showcases the impact that VeChain is making overall. Not in terms of the charts, but it's just in terms of real life. And I do like seeing that.